How's it going, ladies? Ladies, I'm Katana and happy Valentine's Day. And before you ask, yes, you did make the right choice. Because why go to that fancy day to cry over a tub of Ben & Jerry's when you could spend a good hour with moi? As I said in countless other reviews, I am a sucker for romances. I'm a lover, not a fighter. Which is why I'm so stoked to talk about a story that's focused on romance. Because as far as in the past, they were never the main focus. Dystopian after dystopian, action after action. It seems as though romances in the young adult novels seem to have gotten increasingly worse. Oh God! Get that out of my face! So I think it's about time to cover a real romance story. One which has been praised pretty well. But is it just the imagination of people masking this already cliched story? Me Before You by Jojo Moyes. Let's read. To quote the book synopsis from the back cover, Louisa Lou Clark is an ordinary girl living an exceedingly ordinary life, until puppet masters like Jojo Moyes take Lou and immediately put her out of a job. Needing the money to support her dad's slim chances of being laid off, as well as giving her sister Trina the chance to continue her education after being knocked up, Lou tries out countless jobs before finding a caretaker position for a quadriplegic. She meets Will Trainer, a highly adventurous man who was stripped of that life after a terrible motorbike accident. Living in the past as a successful businessman, he now spends his days holed up at home, watched over by his parents and main caretaker Nate. Lou was given the job not for her medical skills, but more for companionship. The job is only for 6 months, and within that time, Lou and Will create a unique relationship that redefines the right way to love someone. So the story seems solid, sounds alright, but what really makes it great is its cast of characters. Louisa Clark is a working girl, not just for jobs, but also in her life. She's always putting effort into what she does, dealing with the financial stress from her poor, strange family, dealing with the emotional stress working with the trainers, dealing with a strained relationship with her marathon running boyfriend Patrick. There's a lot going on in Lou's life, but what's great about her is that she doesn't back down. She manages to find a way for her problems and is always considerate of others, a real down-to-earth girl. Will Trainer is a pretty unreasonable character, which will matter a lot in the long run. And can you really blame him? Living life on the edge, being the master of his own destiny, a grand life that was suddenly robbed from him. His attitudes nowadays range from cynicism to downright stubbornness. Every conversation ends with cruel mockery. He cuts all ties with his able-bodied friends, his relationship to his parents is less than involved, and he pretty much criticizes any of Lou's attempts to connect. But somehow you end up accepting all this because it's perfectly justified. The outside is just a facade, while his spirit is slowly dying on the inside. Out of all the family members, Mrs. Camilla Trainer is more involved in Will's life. Like any other mother of wealth, she's punctual, elegant, and careful with decisions concerning her son. I don't know why, but she appears in my mind as Lady Tremaine from the new Once Upon a Time season, except she's not batshit crazy. Her relationship with Lou eventually softens, and there's more than enough occasions to prove she genuinely cares about Will, but fails to show it. Trina is Louisa's sister, a florist raising her son alone. She had a bright future ahead of her, but after being knocked up, she stopped her education and returned home to work and support the family. She and Lou don't always see eye to eye. In fact, they are still immature as adults, but as a character, she's smart. She always lends an ear to Lou's problems and gives helpful advice. A bit of sibling rivalry, but she's definitely dependable. And finally, we got Nate, Will's caretaker who's actually trained. He's been with Will since the very beginning, seeing him at his best and his worst. No one knows Will better than him. Like Trina, he's very friendly and helpful. I mean, on the first day, he fills Lou in on all the schedules and drugs Will goes through on a daily basis. You can even go on to say that he's Will's only friend. All these characters you can understand quickly because they are written so well. They feel real. I went into the read expecting a lot of cheese, and there are, but the kind demonstrated here isn't as formulaic as you would expect, and that comes from how grounded this story is. None of the choices or solutions feel outrageous or convoluted. The natural pace of storytelling conveys a realistic approach to problems and situations that seem very easy to relate to. The financial troubles within the Clark family always came up, guiding the actions of the characters. Louisa always thought about the money first and how she could help in keeping her family from going broke. A good good amount of money being earned that Trina felt comfortable enough to quit her job at the flower shop and finish college. It never reaches the point where she dropped all the responsibilities for love. Her first priority has always been to support. Lou's boyfriend Patrick isn't created to be a third wheel dude. She's actually pretty likable and does support Lou like a boyfriend should. They've been together for 7 years, and it's made clear the relationship starts to become a bit wavy when Patrick decides to enter a marathon called the Viking Triathlon. It isn't just the matter that another man came into the picture. Somewhere along the way, they just started to grow apart. And Will's disability really moves the plot forward for character growth and dramatic moments. It creates scenes like shaving or dancing to be oddly romantic. Louisa gets more involved in the world of quadriplegics and gets deep life advice from Will. A lot of people argue that Will is more of a plot device for Louisa, which I can agree since this story really isn't about Will. It's about teaching her a life outside her own bubble and to experience this world full of possibilities. Speaking of Louisa and Will, their chemistry is so great. It's believable, it's enjoyable. The contrast between Louisa's chirpy nature and Will's miserable attitude brings about a weird connection. It's perfectly paced and never feels like you're being rushed for the romantic portions. Lou is always trying to find the middle ground with Will, and Will is just having fun messing with her. And you can feel the length of time it takes for a solid relationship to be formed. And this book, pretty damn funny! Like legit laugh out loud funny. I wasn't expecting to be laughing so much, but the lines were delivered so well. Lou's thoughts hold a lot of dry humor, and the conversation with Will throw a lot of quick wit back and forth, finding mockery with sarcasm. I guess I found it more funny because it resonates with my own sense of humor, but there's no doubt that the dialogues are the best things provided. Pretty much the qualities that I always look for in stories is really done well here. So what faults could there actually be? I found a couple. Under all the characters and clever writing, it's still a predictable and cliche story. Ordinary girl given the chance to earn lots of money by taking care of a gorgeous crippled man. But I'll give the book some credit. I didn't feel the slightest hint of a bare-bone cliche until the end of the book. The majority of it does feel pretty original. And the back cover kinda gives a lot away too. What's funny is that they write the first twist by saying Will has shocking plans of his own, but then they immediately ruin that effort by saying Lou sets out to show him that life is still worth living. Gee, I wonder what Will is going through. Also, I feel like I'm the only one who noticed some Beauty and the Beast similarities, which could be another reason why this book attracted me. Think about it. Louisa is Belle with the exception that she's not realizing her captive and adventureless lifestyle. Will is obviously the Beast trapped in his kingdom, confined by his own bad self-image. Patrick is Gaston, the well-fit man who already has Belle, and busy training to fight an ox or some shit. And the story is running on a timer with Mrs. Trainer and friends acting like the servants who wait and hope. You know, haha, she is the one. Maybe she will be the one to break the curse. Then, of course, I can't talk about this book without giving my 2 cents on the controversy that came with it. Let's talk about the ending, as the back cover clearly suggests Will Trainer is feeling suicidal and is wanting to go visit the Dignitas Society in Switzerland to die. As a final wish to his mother, he promised to live for 6 more months, around the same time for Louisa to come into his life. And after all the effort and sacrifices she made to change his mind, he still chooses to die and leaves for Switzerland as their final trip. The first time reading this, I love this ending. From a storyteller's perspective, it caught me off guard and stayed connected with the book's sense of realism. I liked how it didn't go to the sappy romantic ending. I probably would have been mad if he decided to stay with her. And I definitely would have burned the book if her love magically healed his legs. What I'm saying is that there's a lot of ways this could have ruined it for me, but this choice was a nice surprise. This is a romance that's not really a romance. If I had to pick a theme, it would be about choice, how we choose the way to live, the choice to love someone despite their flaws and views. I never found the focus to be on the disability, but how Will, one man, chose to live with it. After a traumatic experience being a free spirit, Louisa chose to live her life carefully. A lot of evidence shows difficult choices sprinkled around the book, so when the choice to still kill himself showed up, I accepted it. The book constantly shows how Will never had much of a choice to care for himself or decide what was best for him. This was probably the biggest choice he could make for himself, and he owned it. But in the end, no matter what side you lean on with assisted suicide, it still sends a bad message. I don't believe Moyes wanted to make the statement that a disabled life is not worth living. I think a lot of it boils down to Will's character. One guy who couldn't adjust to this new life of his. And you wanna know what might have made the ending seem less offensive? If he just tried, if he just accepted Luisa's love and tried being a couple for a few more weeks, a few more chapters, whatever happens afterwards would be fine. Maybe in the spark of the honeymoon phase, he goes back to Paris wildly and comes to the realization that he really can adjust, and if she really loved him, she will be there to support his actions. Because Luisa supported, holy shit did she support. She studied up on all the things that will make Will happy. She got out of her comfort zone to make him feel more alive, talking with online support groups to gather ideas about what Will might enjoy. A lot of time and effort, not just for Lou but also for the readers, was put into this, and it was just devastating to see all that get a flat out rejection, that it wasn't enough, that all the money in the world with someone who's willing to love you wasn't enough. From that, I can understand the fury. I'll stop right here because I believe this conversation could be better said elsewhere. While researching this book, I actually found some interesting reviews from actual disabled YouTubers. I'll leave the links to 2 of my favorite discussions in the descriptions down below. If I could make a last minute request, please don't judge the whole book by its ending. Taking that away, the rest of the story is still entertaining and blew my expectations away. The characters are engaging and the interactions between them will not disappoint. This book deserves a read not for its message, but for its storytelling and stylized cliches. And that's my take on the book. Now, let's cozy on up with our imaginary lovers and dissect the movie that made the whole audience cry and rage at the same time. This is Me Before You. So the movie begins with a rushed prologue inside the widest scene ever. And before someone calls me a racist, I'm talking about the room. Looks like they were lucky enough to book God's banana-themed penthouse, which by the way sounds pretty romantic for a night out of town. We get a quick look at Will's adventurous life, making plans with the bae, crotch shots, showering, and walking out with no umbrella until the plot hits him. The movie then jumps ahead 2 years later, introducing the Butter Bun and the quirky girl working there, Louisa Clark. We get this dream-like scenario being nice to the customers and care for them and blah. All that just to be shattered immediately by unemployment. And something about the quickness of this scene is funny. In the short time we see Lou having the time of her life working at her favorite cafe, she's dumped like a sack of potatoes. Her boss was probably standing in the corner watching and thinking, this poor lass, God give this chip a strength! I know we're trying to get to the good stuff, but would it have been wrong to just give her one more day of happiness? Apparently not, and what's worse, there's just so much copyrighted music waiting to flag me down. It's an I am number 4 situation again. Look, I don't want to lose my 75 cents because the movie thought I couldn't know when to bust a tear. So from here on out, I'm switching each listed track with that sad instrumental theme from one of the Hulk movies. Don't matter if the scene's happy or sad. Let's make a game out of this and see how many times we can make Hulk cry. Lou returns home to her more tamed and not dysfunctional at all family and their concerns with the money.
There are no jobs, Josie. I should know. Look, I'm just saying we needed that money.
We also meet Lou's boyfriend, Neville Longbottom. Yes, I know it's Patrick, but once you take a good long look at that chiseled face, the nostalgia will hit you. And really, I'm having a difficult time seeing him as a bad guy. Doesn't come off as an instant douche. Sure, he can't see how much he's hating this, but he still tries to put a positive spin on the matter.
Put on a smile and head back to the job centre. And don't worry about the holiday. I'll pay.
Movie, don't make me hate him. Please don't make me hate him. Did you see that wink? Did you see that wink? Every time he winks, a god is born. And I guess now would be the right time to address my first major issue with the pacing. It skips over all the odd jobs Louisa tried out but couldn't find the right fit. Not just jobs that didn't work, but stuff that she wasn't willing to do, like being a stripper or working at a chicken processing factory, which stayed as a consistent joke throughout the story. But when I heard this...
So in the last 2 weeks, we've tried the chicken processing factory.
I'm still having nightmares about those giblets.
We've tried beautician.
Turns out hot wax is not my friend.
I saw it as a first clear sign that this movie wasn't going to be so funny. But surprise, surprise, a caretaker position comes up at the nick of time, looking for someone with no needed skills and pays a ton of money? Cliche. Lou gets fitted into one of her mom's outfits and takes a bus ride down to the trainer residence. She meets with Camilla Trainer for the interview, which goes pretty badly. Camilla grilling Lou about her lack of medical skills, her lack of ambitions in life, scaring the threads off her tightly pressed skirt. I mean, it's all just an absolute disaster.
Would you like the job?
No. Well, that went well. Camilla gives Lou an immediate tour of the house, along with rules to keep in mind when watching Will. Lucky for her, she gets to meet the man right away. Okay, that actually got me good. Alright, there's still hope for this movie. Truly, the movie gets a slight more humorous when Will comes into the picture. I mean, the awkwardness between their first meeting is great, as you can already see how exactly this relationship is going to work.
I'm Lou.
Yeah, you already said that.
After what was technically the first day, she comes back home and tells her poor family that they don't have to eat scraps anymore.
Louisa Clark, working for the trainers. Wonders will never cease.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. Why is your relationship so pure? Next day, Lou is back at the trainer's house with caretaker Nate giving her a quick rundown on the medical procedures and drugs before leaving. Then it's just the two of them, surrounded by awkward silences again. From what I gather so far, Will doesn't seem as unbearably miserable and vicious from the book. He seems more bored or stoned, and it doesn't help that there isn't much talking because that's where the best of the relationship comes from. Well, at least this portrayal is enough to make Luke feel like crap. But not for too long though, because a bubbly pop song is here to let you know that everything is gonna be alright. On a serious note, this is a nice use of a montage, going through days of her trying to show friendliness and him resisting the urge to smile. But again, the consequence is not having much of their conversations. The observational humor here is average compared to the savage remarks Will would throw at Lou. And speaking of conversations, we're with Lou and Trina as Trina talks about leaving their job at the flower shop to finish schooling, guilting Lou to not try and quit her job.
Please, for me, I'm Tom.
Why are they so nice? The sister dynamic in the book is way better and practical. I have siblings, I got a sister, and we weren't so perfect. We fought out in the ring a couple times. Even now, we will still harass one another from time to time. But this is just too perfect. Lou tries getting a bit peeved, but it's quickly resolved. How can you go from immature adults to cuddles and toe fondling? Oh, right. Next day, Will is visited by his best friend Rupert and the angel from the White Room, Alicia. They haven't seen each other in so long, so the obvious thing to do is announce their wedding to Will. Oh, and drop an awkward and inappropriate joke.
Baines, you ever come across him at all?
No.
Fearsome. Total monster. Most days I feel like I can hardly leave my chair, you know.
Will doesn't approve and lets them leave, and Lou finds him in his room, really not approving.
Right, well, you better not move until I've cleaned that up, because I've got no idea what I'd do if you pop a tyre.
These deliveries, man. This movie needs funny people before it starts to become funny people. Lou is gossiping with Patrick about Will's friend and girlfriend hooking up, and Patrick reveals his plans for the holiday trip in Norway, where the Viking triathlon is being held.
Norway. Wow. Yeah, okay. Woo.
Feeling like she lost an argument, Lou forgets her worries and tries fixing the photographs Will broke the next day. He rolls into the scene, making her feel more like an idiot until she finally snaps and tells Will's grumpy ass off.
Go and raid your grandma's wardrobe or whatever it is you do when you're not making tea.
You don't have to be an arse. Your friends got the shitty treatment, fine, they deserved it. I'm just trying to do my job as best I can. So it would be really nice if you didn't try and make my life as miserable as you apparently make everyone else's.
Not surprisingly, Will takes this lightly and lets her finish as he sits by the window, reflecting with his reflection. Lou comes in to help pick out a DVD, and noticing that she has weird issues against subtitle films, Will makes her watch one. From there, the tension is lifted and they start to get along. There's not really much else to criticize here. The movie stays on point with the events from the book, even pulling direct quotes. And they're talking a lot more now, but the conversations still aren't enjoyable. The lines feel a bit rushed when spoken, so that ruins most of the jokes and speeds up the topic about Lou's boring life.
I spend time with my family, and I go to the pub, I watch TV.
This is an impressive list of hobbies.
Well, no, okay, I read a bit, and I like clothes.
You like clothes. Your life's even duller than mine.
I can name another thing in this game pretty boring. We get a scene of Will at the hospital so Lou can learn about Will's non-existent chances to walk again. And then we get more scenes trying to make Patrick look more like the bad guy.
Oh, I hear this one's good.
Well, because we suddenly speak Spanish.
No, it's got subtitles. I guess so you don't notice after a while.
2 for the Will Ferrell, please.
Oh my god, he doesn't want to watch a movie with subtitles. What the fuck is wrong with him? Well, the answer's pretty simple. I mean, Will Ferrell, he's a comedic icon! Winter comes around and Lou meets with Mr. Trainer, who tells her about Will staying in bed all day, and then he walks out the door to sleep with another woman. Lou spends the day with Will, making him feel as comfortable as he could, until Nate clocks in late and rushes to Will's aid, who turns out has been running a fever all day. I prefer Nate's reaction here than in the book. It's a lot more calm, like he knew this was to be expected from a newbie. Also, wouldn't his parents be aware of his abnormal sweat glands? Mr. Trainer seemed more eager to get a quickie than to deal with his son's anonymous pain. But everything is soon fixed afterwards thanks to Nate, and Lou is chilling in Will's room, trying on his warm wool socks and snooping around his things.
There are very few people out there who can claim to have outbonded James Bond. But birthday boy Wild Willie Will Trainer is certainly one of them.
Oh.
So, Will, any final thoughts, bro?
I'm thinking you should be next, mate.
Yeah, right.
Oh god.
Thank God he's not good looking.
Wild Willie? I'm speechless about how awesome this is. This is not from the book. Not from the book. Good job, movie. Good. Wow. Will is awake, realizing that he's stuck with Lou for the night. She tries learning more about his accident and attempts to cheer him up with a story.
When I had a nightmare or something, you used to sing.
Go on.
You used to sing the Molahonky song.
What?
Oh god, I forgot about please do not sing the Molahonky song. Let me stay a Molahonky virgin.
I lived in the Molahonky land. Land where I was all alone.
This better end with a joke.
Your whole family's insane, and you're a god-awful singer.
Thank you. Their night ends with a pleasant conversation about Lou's all-amazing bumblebee tights from when she was a kid, and Will knocks out. Next season, Will and Lou are back out talking in the yard again, with Will roasting Lou's wardrobe, and Lou going on a rant that she almost got perfectly from the book, word to word.
Oh, you want to be more like the girls you know, do you? Want to go to London, marry somebody like Rupert,
I believe he's taken.
and ignore the fact that he's shagging his secretary within 5 years?
And bitch about him at dinner parties, knowing he won't leave because he's scared of the alimony and have sex once every 6 weeks, and listen to him going on and on about how much he adores the children while doing nothing to actually take care of them, and have perfect hair, but get this kind of pinched face through never saying what you actually mean, and to have an insane Pilates habit and buy a dog or a horse and develop a crush on a wedding instructor, and watch your husband take up jogging when he hits 40 and buy a Harley, and know that every day he goes into the office and looks at a young man and feels like somehow he got suckered.
And leave him anyway, and come back here to give the children a happy childhood.
Whoa.
I gotta give a little clap for that. Much respect. The conversation touches a little on Lou's
Potential.
before sidetracking to give Will a good old shave. Damn! I haven't seen a shave this erotic since that bizarre dollar-shaped club commercial. Finally, we get to the meat of things. Lou accidentally eavesdrops on Mr. and Mrs. Trainer talking about the real reason Lou's been hired to watch Will all this time.
We made an agreement with Will. 6 months.
No, I only agreed so that we had 6 months to change his mind. I cannot believe that you are willing to help our son end his life.
In complete distraught, Lou talks with Trina about what she should do, and all the secondary drama is extracted. By this point in the book, Lou turned in her notice and was willing to quit, along with pushing everyone away because she couldn't find the strength to share this news with anyone. That is, until Trina confronts her about the notice and everything being let out. And listen to this.
If this is what he really wants, then use the time he's got left. Make it special.
Well, at least now we see Trina's stance on the issue, even though she was totally on board with Lou to try and change his view of dying, like in the book. But nevertheless, the plot continues to thicken. Just look at all these thought-provoking questions. Will Lou be able to pull this miracle off? Can Will find any other reason to live? Are Patrick's glutes strong enough to tackle the Viking triathlon? Can Brian believe in his chi to do 100 push-ups? Does Oliver have what it takes to be a top-ranked fighter on Dragon Ball FighterZ? Find out more after break. Welcome back, lovers of love. I hope the wait wasn't too long. Because you know some ads are like 5 minutes and others they're like a whole goddamn trailer, but it doesn't matter. We're here now. Let's continue. Lou is now motivated to change Will's mind about killing himself, but first she's got to educate herself about the world of quadriplegics and get the okay from the trainers about making plans to get Will out of the house. Attempt number 1, horse racing. And unlike the book, the movie never makes it clear that Will hates horses. Doesn't matter why, but this scene further justifies how no one ever asked him what he wanted and that people were always making choices for him. So as you would expect, it's a bad day. Will rolls off the ramp and into a mud pile, being picked up by 3 guys who were all drunk in the book and carried them out like a trophy. At the race itself, Lou places her bets on the wrong horse. And to end it all, she tries making reservations at one of the nicer looking dining areas, but didn't realize that she had to be a premium member. Lou undergoes a tame tantrum, trying to keep her frustrations in check so she doesn't look like an idiot.
You know what, Sharon? You can stick your Premier badge right up your relaxed dining area.
Yeah! Ooh, good job, Lou. You sure ripped that posterior new one. Yep. Next scene moves on to attempt number 2, a concert. And this is one of the few scenes I actually enjoyed. Lou's getting through Trina's mockery via Skype while finding a sexy red dress to match Will's penguin suit. And when they go to the concert itself, there's a little connection there. Not just with Lou trying to chew the tag off Will's collar, but the reactions to the music that confirms this trip a total success. But my all-time favorite line that made this all so perfect.
I don't want to go in yet. I just want to be a man who's been to a concert with a girl in a red dress. Just a few minutes more.
Yeah, most of the humor is diluted, but damn, did they get the emotional depth right. Worlds start to collide as Lou invites Will to her birthday dinner where things get really heated. And at first, things go well. Will surprises Lou by being quite the charmer.
Bernard Clark. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't...
A curtsy will be fine.
But then Patrick comes along, ringing at the door.
6 miles in 28 minutes.
And happy birthday to my girlfriend!
Yes, happy birthday. Sorry I'm a bit late.
Yo, movie! What happened? I mean, you're following the book quotes pretty closely, and it says right here, the first thing Patrick says is, happy birthday, babe. So why change it? Why change it? Why change it? Seriously, the minute Patrick is at the table, everything he does is suddenly stupid. One scene that irked me the most was him telling Will about some exercises that could be quite helpful, and Lou shuts him down immediately. I mean, he was being considerate. He sounded considerate. A little jealous, but still didn't know the full story. I don't know, however you look at it, that scene felt a little forced to me. However, this next scene with the gifts is more subtle and shows a better natural change in the relationships.
Oh!
I'll open it. I had it made specially.
Oh, thank you, Patrick. Oh.
There's something for you in my bag as well.
You got Lou a present? Oh! Oh my God, I don't believe it!
Tights.
Only the best pair of tights ever! Oh, I'm gonna go try them on. I'm gonna go try them on.
Then just for fun, Will decides to straight up get into Patrick's head.
Just helping my girlfriend get the best out of her job.
Oh, you're a lucky man. She certainly gives a good bed bath.
He lost. Will just slayed this wizard. Look at that face. Look at that is a face of a man who knows he's been defeated. Then the movie jumps over a lot of juicy drama from the book. We don't see Patrick ask Lou to move in with him, mainly so he could keep her close, and we don't see Lou start talking with quadriplegics on an online support group. I understand that some cuts had to be made, but the stuff that they actually did cut out made the story more humanizing. Without it, it just starts feeling like a fantasy where no one is ever hurt or emotionally scarred. Instead, the next scene jumps over to another girl. You got potential. And an invitation to his best friend and ex-girlfriend's wedding. Also, I'm only now realizing about the maze from the book, which explained a lot about Lou's reserved nature and fashion style. But that would totally bring down the movie's totally happy, chill vibe, so no need to talk about that. In the next scene, Lou's dad got a job working for Mr. Trainer, and without ever showing much of the struggle between being unemployed and stripping his title as supporter of the family. But that would totally ruin the movie's happy, chill vibe, so just forget about it and let's watch him celebrate. Then Will is meeting with a lawyer who Lou looks up later to see he specializes in wills, because we can't forget that his life is still on the timer, which makes this wedding much more important for Lou's sake. They enjoy the traditional ceremony, meet up with a few friends afterwards, and party at the marquee. She briefly meets with Mary Rawlinson, who in the book gave Lou the opportunity to retrain for a specific job in the future. Here, it's all about Will and keeping Will happy. She takes this advice to heart and dances with him, with the entire party gawking at disgust. She's pretty into him right now and he's digging her, and they instantly decide to go on a vacation together. With a final yes, Will cheesily drives Lou out into the moonlight like he's kidnapping her. This movie, man. Back home, one man is feeling at the top of the world while another is slipping far away from love. Lou drops the 411 that she wouldn't be going to Norway and Patrick runs away. Lou then gets an urgent call leading her to the hospital, and they did not just pull the pneumonia card here. At this point in the book, Lou planned this amazing getaway trip to a place suitable for quadriplegics. Bungee jumping, swimming with dolphins, it sounded like heaven. But when the pneumonia hit, it was so devastating to see all this planning go to waste at the wrong time. So by making them sick before any planning was put into place, it takes away that dramatical impact the book created. Now of course, it isn't Will's time yet, and this leads into a conversation with Nate about Will's condition and his stance on the suicide matter. Later on, Patrick is in Lou's home, organizing a romantic dinner to apologize and say how proud he is of her, until he goes snooping through her plans about the trip.
You really expect me to just sit here while you swan off with another man on a honeymoon? I'm running permanently just a little behind the rest of the field. It's like there's something bad around the bend and everyone seems to know what it is except me.
Patrick.
You see, Patrick, if I wrote you, I wouldn't do you wrong like this. In all fairness, he's got a good reason to be upset. Your 7-year girlfriend not coming to support you and instead running off to Honeymoon Island? You're damn right I'd be pissed off. And she doesn't even try saving the relationship by telling him about Will's plans to die. She just lets him go. It just makes me feel really bad for him. Poor Neville. Jesus. But that fight ends and Lou clears her head with a vacation to salvation. Another montage commences, mainly them sitting in beach chairs and watching Nate flirt with a playmate he met on the island. Nate finds a reason to get laid, leaving Lou and Will alone, in a room, with the pouring rain. Oh yeah, you know where this is going. So now they're officially a couple, doing couple things, but maybe if they lasted a little longer, things might have turned out differently. On their last night, Lou and Will are out enjoying each other's company, and Will openly confesses about his plans for assisted suicide.
I have to tell you something.
I know. I know about Switzerland. But I can make you happy. What?
I get that this could be a good life, but it's not my life. It's not even close.
This is the opinion of just one man. Like in the book, he's just speculating the future. Anyone could do that. Sure, when we fear something, a million thoughts come to our minds to make failure likely. Thoughts to convince you that it can't work. Will's pretty much being the coward right now, thinking he's got Lou all figured out and making the decision for both of them. And worst of all, he led her on. All those times enjoying himself with all that effort Lou put into these trips and plans.
You are pretty much the only thing that makes me want to get up in the morning.
I thought that I was changing your mind.
Nothing was ever going to change my mind. I promised my parents 6 months, and that's what I've given them.
As I said, the least he could have done was try. The night ends terribly as Will invites Lou to watch him die in Switzerland, and she, of course, flat out refuses. And then the two return back home without speaking to one another. Lou has the chance to end this movie quicker, but doesn't go for it.
Louisa, let me give you a hand with those.
Actually, I need to get home.
Oh, come on. We want to know how you got on.
Let her go.
Let her go? Boy, you were begging her to stay in the book. Why are you so mad? Camilla tries to get some hope out of Lou but ends up with a broken heart. She returns home in utter defeat, staying with the family to discuss further about what is right in the situation, with her mother highly against it.
No, you can't be a part of this. It's no better than murder.
I'm actually glad they cut down on the mom's frustrations because she became a little intolerable near the end. And I can see why Lou didn't go through with telling Patrick about the suicide just so we wouldn't have to go through the whole leaked news segment of the story. But this scene with Lou's dad is nice as he adds more to the "who says you failed" speech and accepts the choice Will made. The best thing Lou could do at this point is just be there for him. And that's exactly what she does. She meets at the house it's happening at and finds Will in bed. The trainers give him a minute, with Lou kidding around one last time before Will asks her to lay with him, spending their final moments together in peace.
Tell me something good.
I will end this.
Oh my god, just die already. With a final kiss goodbye, Will Trainer dies by his own accord, and we get a reverse Forrest Gump transition into the epilogue, seeing Lou travel to Paris with the money Will left her in his will. He writes her last minute advice to live her life to the fullest, to reach new heights, to just live, and you just had to end this on the copyrighted song. Ugh, and with a final shot of Paris, Me Before You comes to an end. I'm not mad at this film. Technically, it's a pretty good adaptation if you consider how close to heart the book follows all the events. So, no, I can't be mad. I'm just disappointed. There's more bad than good, so let's just go over what I thought worked. First and foremost, if you watch this movie, you pretty much read the book. Lines are pulled directly from the pages, the stuff that they took out to fit running time worked out, and when it came to the more dramatic parts, they were fun to watch. That moment after the concert and the way Will delivered that line really hit me. I could just feel the weight of emotions put into that. So I'm not heartless. A few things did actually work, but in the end, it just gave the book a really bad image, and I'll work my way from the top. First, makeup. Yeah, pretty damn rare for me to say, but is it really a problem to say that I was more mesmerized by Emilia Clarke's eyebrows than her performance? They were really distracting, along with the overacted facial expressions. It was almost as if she was obligated to smile after every sentence. When she relaxed her muscles, it looked fine. And I don't think the book went into specifics about how Lou looked physically, but I always thought she was average looking. The movie really went out of its way to make Louisa untouchable with a wardrobe made personally from Wizards of Waverly Place's Harper Finkel. Then we got the characters feeling out of place. Louisa was more awkward than needed, Will's miserable state was toned down to a bored man in a chair, Trina wasn't the sister who rivaled Lou in beauty and brains. There was no sense of rivalry at all, it was taken away and replaced with something that felt so fake and impure. And Patrick, I ended up feeling sorry for him by the end. It was much easier to see him as the third Will here. I always thought that the story would end with Lou learning a lot from Will to try and fix their relationship. That story sounds way more inspirational and keeps an actual good guy like Patrick around. It's not like he was an abusive asshole or anything, they just grew apart and the choices made here weren't helping. Can't forget the fact that practically all the humor was rushed and taken away. This is a genuinely funny story told with humorous dialogue. One of the greatest things were their conversations together and how often their wit and mockery built their bond. So replacing the humorous dialogue with a lot of silent reflective moments and giving every possible chance to slip in a modern pop song made the story more melodramatic and sappy. Louisa's character growth, pretty low key and under the radar. With the focus of the story being about choice, both for Will and Lou, Will seemed to have hogged the spotlight. Things like cutting out a montage of Lou trying out different jobs, her traumatic history with the maze in the castle, a conversation with Mary about possibilities. Will always bring it up because she couldn't realize the potential herself, but it wasn't enough to be on par with the topic of assisted suicide, and the way each character had a little screen time to share their stance says it all. And probably the worst crime of all, taking away reality. Nothing about this movie gave me the same sense of realness I got from the book. There were more happy scenes than the one people could relate to. The financial issues the Clarks were going through, the wrong portrayal of an honest sibling relationship, and taking every talk, every touch, every smile, and amplifying the sappiness level to an 11. It didn't even go much into details about Will's well-being. Most of the time you see him in the hospital beds and the occasional sweats, but nothing more than his stone-cold stubbornness. Not even much about his attempted suicide, which involved a nail and a few episodes of Higurashi to get an idea. You take away bits and pieces that made something so beautiful, and what exactly are you left with? A 2-hour parody of Me Before You featuring Miranda Sings flirting with a hobo that follows the same beat of every cheesy romance story and puts a lot of focus on the message that a rich happy life can't be lived as a cripple. I can clearly see why so many saw that kind of response, because with all the cuts and changes in characters, it wasn't the same story, not with the real gritty one with the legit conversations and time to talk about these issues from both sides, but a fluffed up fantasy that will rather take your mind away from the difficult stuff, the stuff that's supposedly better to cut away and forget, which is why I highly recommend the book. For people who mostly watch movies, don't let this represent the original work. The plot points are spot on, but the deeper context of the story is missing. If you were turned off by the ending, it's the same in both forms, but for everything that happened before, it's so much better and enjoyable on paper. And with that said, those are my final thoughts on Me Before You. And if you don't agree, you can read the book, watch the movie, and make your own opinions. I'm Katana, and I'm very curious to know if there are any disabled-bodied people watching. I don't know exactly how it must feel, so I would love to hear your thoughts about this story. But that's it for me today. Love your partners, love your kids, and most importantly, love yourselves. I send my love from afar. Happy Valentine's Day. Take care. Hey guys, thanks again for watching this review. It will mean the world if you share this around with your friends and families, and if you haven't already, subscribe and stay notified on the next review. Wasn't really in the mood of love? Well, why don't you pick up the pace and action with my last review on the City of Ember. Got a book/movie review you'd like to see me do one day? Leave a suggestion in the comments down below and I'll be sure to check it out. I sincerely hope you guys have fun today. Spend it with your lover, your kids, just anyone who matters to you. You know, someone that I don't have, but that's fine, I'm fine, I'm totally fine. I got my work, and yeah, Jesus, I am alone. Well, at least it saves me money. Later, guys.